Yeah, of course Bella starts barking, right? As soon as I do a live video, she starts barking. Alright. Give me 1 second, guys. I apologize if you hear the barking in the background. There's not much I can do right now about it except go in and yell at her. But, Alright, so I decided to do a video tonight because I got so many questions coming in. Obviously, guess a lot of you guys are getting a lot of visits from business agents you haven't seen from a long time. Spoke to guys today. One guy's been in the union 16 years, 17 years. He's never met a business agent before in the job in 17 years, but he met 3 of them yesterday. So, there's a lot of it going around. I get it. You know, Glenn Hatchett's out there. A couple of these guys, they're following their marching orders. It's nothing personal. I don't think they truly believe in it either. A lot of them aren't a fan of Paul Caperso. So, but you know, listen, it's the way the system works, guys. You know, they're gonna they know. I mean, for the most part, they should realize the game plan that's involved. You know, if this merger goes through, you know, you just look at other parts of the country, other mergers. A lot of business agents like Long Island got let go. So, under the restructuring that'll happen, you know, most of these guys will fall to the wayside. A lot of them will never be able to put their tools back on. You know, the system has changed so much since they've been pampered and carried to the industry. But with that being said, and that against them, you know, they're going to, their narrative is protect what they have. They don't care about what happens to us. So let's get into it. So a couple of questions people are saying, you know, they're putting narratives out there. They just call me a liar, right? They call me a liar. Well, let's just look at that, right? I ran on the campaign, and I told you guys what they were going to do with the shop stewards, right, with the 39 hours, and they called me a liar. It wasn't going to happen. I'm making it up. And sure enough, right after the election, not even 3 months after the election, I think it was 2.5 months, they did that, right? They took the stewards away, the retired stewards, from working as shop stewards for the 39 hours a month. Other things they did was the B rate with the provisional. You know, I argued with guys that you guys are 157 going to screw us. A guy from 45, I won't mention his name. But he got into a big argument with me. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I said, your guy's going to do it. He says he's going to backdoor us because I got the inside for some people at the council. They're like, Mike, we're going to vote. No, they knew they didn't have the vote. They know they didn't have the vote to get the B rate into the dry room. And they didn't want to put anyone in the chopping block for it. So they knew Mike Roden was a dead man walking. Mike was supposed to become the president of the council, but he got jammed up, hanging out with a guy with a band member that tied to organized crime, and they knew it was only a matter of time that they could dodge that bullet and that he'd eventually be taken out. So they used him to orchestrate the very first delegate meeting. They voted a bunch of people out of the delegate meeting, and they had a new delegate body, and most of the people weren't aware of how the delegate system worked. The few delegates that were there were either never cued into what was going on, or just never really knew. A lot of these delegates, because they're delegates, a lot of them don't have any proper training for it. So, you know, half these guys won't even sit at the seat. Usually, if anyone is a delegate, they understand every vote used to go to roll call vote. They didn't do that. You know, Rhoda just got up, motion to approve of the question. No one knew what was going on. Ayes have it, carried, so order. Your B-rate provisional was put into the wall and ceiling contract. What that did changed a lot of things for a lot of these apprentices. It tweaked things around. You know, made them have to come up with the 10,000 hours, and then it changed a lot because they knew they would get the skilled work in it. They wanted to give these guys a blended rate to get more work. It didn't give us more work. It changed. You know, they're not billing the contract any less. Maybe some on some jobs, but for the most part, a lot of these jobs were already bidded out, so they put more money in their pocket. You know, case in point, back in the day when we were under trusteeship, when the International was here, you know, we had a raise coming to us, and the last raise in the contract was $2.80. You know, some of that would have went to the medical probably at that point to really tie it up about it. We wanted to a paycheck, but hypothetically, you look at it, the $2.80 would equal to about roughly $6,000 a year per guy, right? So you take that, he took that out of the contract in good faith. Frank Spencer did that, right? Frank Spencer did this. So just remember the name Frank Spencer. You're going to hear that name a lot. So Frank Spencer took that out, and that was the last part of our contract. He took it out in good faith. Then we proceeded to go into contract negotiations, which pretty much my guys in the wall and ceiling said it was a circle jerk. It was just a joke because, you know, all this work was going on. It was kind of slow, but the major project was the World Trade Center. A lot of those jobs were pre-planned out with established bids about 3% per year increases, right? So we went 3 years into a 5-year contract with no retroactive pay. So there was really no intention for the Wall and Sealing to settle, right? If I was a contractor of Wall and Sealing, why am I going to settle? I'm not being forced to pay anything. So the longer I can kick the can down the road, the more money I put in my pocket. I already saved $2.80 on each guy, right? So I'm already putting $6,000 in my pocket per guy. So that generates millions and millions of dollars. And now I've gone 3 years into a 5-year contract with a minimum of 3% a year, right? A minimum, you would say, guys, right? So guys do the math, right? So 9%. So you say 9% plus the $6,000. You guys can do the math on those numbers. So that was my profit ratio, right? And then that's the situation we had to deal with. Now we walked into that contract. You know, it was a really tough contract to negotiate. Mike Yale took office. He told us about before. He got a 16.5%, and probably one of the worst markets since the Depression, which I think was phenomenal. He got the cost of increase as well in the Hudson Yards, which is also a great deal. And you know, we moved out of there. Joe took over. Good times. Things are busy. Everybody was happy. Things are happy. People don't complain as much. It's human nature, right? We all bitch when things are slow. Well, that takes us to where we are today, right? So now we're in a shit show, guys. How did we get here? The economy played a part. Ooh, Tyson wants to come up, guys. It's my Tyson boy. It's one of my rescues. Tyson's going to join in. You know, the economy played a part. COVID played a major problem for us, right? All major cities suffered from that. They pushed that through. You know, I think it was a terrible thing from day one, but whatever. It is what it is. We roll with the punches, right? Our organizing efforts in the city are some part the best, I would call it, right? I see a lot of things we're not focusing on, how I would do things differently. I do have a plan in a lot of ways. I've discussed it with quite a few people. I spoke to some attorneys. I spoke to friends of mine that run major law firms. I got friends of mine that are organizers in other trades, and you know, they agree with a lot of things. With carpenters are a unique trade compared to a lot of the trades and what we control. You know, my buddy was a big chief estimator for a major contracting company, and now he's a vice president. You know, he even told me, you know, the carpenters, our production numbers were huge. I mean, we're not the same numbers as we were 10, 15 years ago. I think it's because a lot of our skilled trade guys are retired out, and you got these younger kids. And, you know, when you don't have those skills, sadly, you know, production does go down, right? It changes a lot, people's attitude to work. Things change, right? Motivation's everything, right? On job sites, everybody, when we're working together, you know, we're in competition with each other in a way, right? One thing about this industry, I tell people all the time, the first day you start on a job site, you're working yourself out of a job. We got some stuff out there. We got a lot of problems with these construction jobs going in the city. I witnessed it myself. I spoke to someone on the job. Some of these people aren't documented. They're operating with fake papers. Some of them are connected to organized crime, MS-13. I'm working with someone to help remedy that, so we're going to see what I can do to deal with the people that I have friends in law enforcement, to see what I can do to help us, you know, combat this stuff, see what they're doing to it. They're exploiting workers, and in that fact, they're exploiting us because our members don't have a chance to get to the drawing table to negotiate good salaries and fair wages for people because they're exploiting workers in the process, right? So my concern would be, as a leader, I have to tackle these issues, right? Right, wrong, or difference, whether I offend certain people along the way, it is what it is. But my main concern is putting you guys back to work and get you guys secured so you have benefits and medical for your family, right? So with that being said, I'm going to work on these issues. Why our organized department's not doing it, or what the reason being behind it, I don't know, and I can't contest to that. Whether it's laziness, whether it's corruption, whether it's incompetence. I've seen a lot of incompetence over the years, so I kind of lean a little bit more on that. I mean, I'll be honest with you, kind of wish it was corruption. You're hoping somebody would get a check out of this, but I don't think it is. I think a lot of it's just fucking laziness, and people just not want to do their job, or not trained to do their job, or just basically, you know, riding the wave. They don't really, you know. I think we're once again out giving book bags and you know, and pumpkins, or whatever the fuck they're gonna give out, no turkeys, or whatever it is they're gonna give out. Which, you know, in all honesty, guys, that don't bring any work to the table. So I think we should be working with our own members, giving our members stuff, and giving book bags out to parents, the grandparents, so they can give to their grandkids and stuff like that to promote unionism. I have a lot of ideas about stuff like that I wrote with Karen about. You know, stuff about making a video, making cartoon characters, you know, making comic books, making crayon books for kids to, you know, to color about, to give them like we have different parts of the trade, from floor coverers to millwrights to dock builders, different ideas. We can hand that information off to our workers and give you an idea so you could help teach your grandkids or your children, what you do for a living and what that means, about safety and being in the union, and, give those kids an idea about why we join a union, why we have medical, what benefits means, what annuity means. Give those kids a head start, let them have an idea of what it's all about and get a bigger picture, right? We got to start when they're young, and hopefully we work that into something more projectable as kids get older in life, right? So that's one of my ideas, One of my other ideas would be something with labor management. I see a big loophole out there, guys, with a lot of our members, right? Whether it's an injury, something happens, like you can't seem to get a business agent or anyone on a job. If God forbid somebody gets hurt in a job, something goes wrong. They show up at a job when they want to call me a liar, which they don't really have anything to call me a liar because what I'm telling you is factual. We've all realized they said it was a merger, not a consolidation, but whatever. So basically, I think labor manager, if there's anything like with city carpenters, because each city agency is a little different than another, there should be a booklet put together. I helped a member that passed away, his wife, Valerie's probably watching this video right now. My friend Julio passed away. He was friends with a lot of people in this union. I got to run around from a lot of people. I helped out with an attorney. We worked it out with NYCHA. I was told I was crazy. But, we got everything figured out, and I pushed it through, and we got paperwork put in, and we got a really nice settlement for him and for his wife and his son, and also death benefit on the back end. Stuff that we wouldn't have got had we not pushed for it. I also put the paperwork together with a friend of mine, and we went to the board of trustees, and we fought the council to get him awarded his pension benefits like they did with the people from 9/11, considering we were all essential workers going to work that time, and he was able to start collecting his pension from the date of his death, not having to wait for his family for the 55th birthday, which to me I think was a big accomplishment. Once again, there should be somebody in labor management or somebody skilled to do that that's willing to help the members get that across, right? Nobody should be left alone because, you as a member, if God forbid you're the person that's injured, right? Something happens to you, that person should be dealing with your wife or your child, like what I did with Sean. Why can't I think of your last name, Sean? It'll pop into my head in 2 seconds. My head's shot sometimes. But my friend Sean, I worked with him in health and hospitals. He had a major problem at work. A sciatic artery in his leg ruptured. Something like unheard of, like one in 300,000. This happens. So it's some crazy accident. The guy's very lucky to be alive. His wife was devastated. As you can see, 3 little kids at home. Sean's a very easygoing guy, not controversial, just does his job. He works his overtime, and this thing happens to him, right? Nobody was there to help him out, so I gave his wife my number, and I assisted to get involved in it, and pushed people to do their job to make sure we did what was right, to make sure that his family was taken care of in that situation. Someone's got to take this initiative, right? And I think that's the idea what union is about. I think by building on this, to me, makes everyone feel like we're part of something, right? I raised money for a guy one time that his family got kicked out of a house, and we had to get his mother on the medical insurance. Actually, Steve McGinnis helped me with it back when me and Steve were friends, but we had a falling out of it for different reasons and how things are run. Like I said, that's part of business, the way things go. But what the process is just to try to build something of this organization so we actually feel like we're part of something. And to do that, we have to reach out to the parents and have people involved. And I think the focus on that, make it feel like we're really part of a family, a brotherhood, and sisterhood, would change the outlook of what this union is, right? So if we're all in this together and we're all trying to help each other to strive, maybe we can have a better outlook on what we need to get done. I don't know. Could be right, could be wrong. It's my opinion on how I think it should be. It's how I've always worked in the industry. Most people who know me, I'm always the first one to help everybody, right, guys? I don't, I always give you the information on what it is for classes. I make calls for people. People can't get in the classes. I do what I got to do to get people going, right? If you got to pay for it yourself, or I've laid the money out for people who need to get the SWAT cards, for companies to make sure they pay for it. Whatever we got to do, if I got to make that call, I got a history with a lot of people at a lot of companies. I don't mind putting my name to it to get it done for you, right? This is what I believe our business agent organizers do, or people in labor managers should be paid to do this. Why people don't do it? Listen, some people have to take that initiative. Either you have a passion to do something, you don't. When you have a passion to do something, it's really not a job, right? It's something you want to do because you want to make a difference. I believe I'm making a difference with everything I do. And like I said, I don't brag about the things I do to a lot of people. People, I kept it quiet. People, oh, you should bring it up. I'm going to bring it up because it's monumental, because I want people to understand that we should all be doing this, right? And a lot of people I know out there would. They'd love to help out. There's a lot of people out there who want to help. Something as simple as, like, I wanted to get a room down at the school. Back in the day, I wrote a letter about it. Got kicked to the side. I kind of had like an idea about, kind of like a donation room where we donate stuff to a room. I know a lot of people in businesses. I actually know somebody who does stuff with Amazon now. We could probably get a lot of nice merchandise, stuff that was returned for free. My attitude would be to, like, give it first to our members. Members like young families, and like if we could help someone out with a car seat, or if somebody has a car seat that the kids grew out of, maybe we can pass that along to somebody in the union, someone who's just starting off as an apprentice. Car seats are expensive. Could be a crib, a stroller, something simple like that, right? Something simple to us can make a huge difference to a young kid or an apprentice or a young person in and out of work struggling to make ends meet. Something small like that can make all the difference, and it makes the family realize that we're working together, right? And we take those donations in, and then we keep stuff for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and at that point we package it all up and we give it out to another organization that we help promote this stuff. I think it would be a great idea. I think we have the room at the school to do it. I don't think we need a lot of room to do it. And with social media now, and with the cameras, we could easily put stuff online. First come, first served basis. We could actually look at people who are in and out of work and who really need to try to make things happen, right? Same thing I believe with turkeys. Like if you're a person that's in and out of work and you're struggling with your family, or the holidays, we got some people that are in and out of work and maybe disabled. If we could step up a little bit, help one of our members out, maybe help them put some extra stuff under the Christmas tree. It really goes a long way, guys. That's the stuff that, to me, makes a difference. And I've been that guy who's run fundraisers. I see somebody on here, Pete Corrigan. When I started in this business, I knew Pete's dad, right? Pete's dad was a very big guy back in the day, guys. He was a fucking walking wall when you saw him. So when Pete's dad ran a fundraiser and you walk by him, you're like, you donated money. And it was a good cause. John wasn't like always being a dick about it. He did it for a good cause. But when John ran something, guys, let me tell you something. They ran picnics. The Corrigans did it all. They ran all that stuff. Fundraisers. I don't remember one fundraiser, one picnic, one scholarship. I don't remember one in my basic years of the business where John wasn't involved. And I mean, it was John, all the guys that were there back in the day that ran those things. And they put a lot of time in it. I mean, when you went to the picnics back in the day, like the ones they had upstate for 608, there wasn't a kid that didn't leave with something. Every kid won something, whether it was bicycles and toys. It was just, they showed up with truckloads of stuff. They must have planned months and months and months and put into it. And I think if I'm not mistaken, it took like 6 to 8 months to plan these things. But they were unbelievable. And they were packed. They were standing the moment you were parking down the street. There was no parking in these places. But just another way of showing you that, when you build on something like that, we can make things different. We got a softball tournament coming up. I think that thing has beat its course. It's a great idea. We make money for the scholarship. Guys asked me what would have been my idea. One of my nephews is big into paint gun wars. I think it would be a great idea. Maybe put something together, guys. Rent up a little thing. Even if I'm not elected, it'd be a great idea, I think, to put it together. Maybe we could get a little team together. My team against fucking Dave and Adam and those guys. Do a little fundraiser thing. Have a little betting odds. Have a little fun with it. Have the organizers against the business agent, guys like that. We'll get different teams, the Donaldsons against, the Island Acoustics. Little ideas, just ideas I thought would be great ideas. Maybe we could raise money, some good causes like our scholarship funds and stuff like that. This is all positive stuff I'm trying to get to. But, these are things we got to do, because this is about family, guys, right? This is why we're here, to get onto what our problems are, what guys want to talk about stuff. The way they want to merge these funds don't make sense to me, guys, right? So we're worth about per capita we got $9 billion to say roughly, right? With all our money when you got it together. So per capita, with about 18,000 members, like we're on the larger end compared to a lot of these councils, right? So the merger problem is everyone goes, oh, the benefits. Listen, guys, when this merger happens, right? I told you guys last election what they were doing, and behind the scenes they did it, and the members said no, but Barbara Jones was there. The consent decree governed the benefit funds and the pension funds, and they took those claws out from underneath it and protected it. But there's still some stuff that holds in good graces, which I'm going to get into at the end of my conversation, where I'll bring up stuff that I think we need to do to move forward on that. The medical funds. So basically, the merge of these funds, when you do merge these funds into this regional council that they want to do, I believe there's 122,000 members in that council. compared to our 18,000. So we grow into a bigger entity. So let's just say hypothetically we keep the 6 trustees we have, right? After we get into that and we're locked into that situation, right? What keeps us getting what we have? Now, for instance, you guys do the work. Somebody just wrote me something from Indiana, which I will post after this is over. You'll see it on the live feed. He told me, by all means, post it. He goes, they screwed me. I had to put my tools back on. I'm 58. I had to go back to work. They're gonna have a vote in the matter. They're gonna renegotiate. They're gonna put our medical through a new fund. They're gonna renegotiate our pension. They just did it in the Midwest. Everything's gonna change, guys. There's no way they're keeping us at this high standard, at 55 an hour for medical. It's not gonna happen. They gotta find whether it's gonna be a middle or a dirt low. I don't know where we're gonna end up. It's definitely not gonna be where we're at today. I'll tell you that much. I can pretty much guarantee from what I was told. My connections to the international, people that I know from behind the scenes, January 1st, we will lose retirement medical, okay? Whether it's January 1st or February 1st, within that time, their plan is to cut us. We won't have a say in it, right? And, Paul can't make that, he's calling me a liar, they're all calling me a liar, but they don't know either. They don't know, right? They're not going to have a say. There's bigger people at play here, right? So, they get a vote, and they'll come back to you and they'll say, well, we tried, guys, but they did this and this, and the money's gone, right? They denied it. Everybody saw what happened at the convention, right? Now everyone realizes I'm wrong, I'm right, and they were wrong, right? They like to call it consolidation, but McCarran himself is calling it a merger, right? And guys understand it's a merger, right? We're merging funds, consolidation, the same concept. The New York City District Council of Carpenters, you want to hold the title and call it the New York City District Council of Carpenters, you can. But, as soon as I take your money away, well, good are you, right? You don't have no power. The power we have and the control we have is the money and the assets we own, right? That's how we levy our resources and how we have money invested, like in Disney and stuff like that. We use that money to pivot to go after certain things. That's a power play, right? And I guess they want to pull this money together. So it's something I got to ask yourself, right? They talked about his plans to invest in his money and BlackRock index and stuff like that. Now, to do that, guys, right, he needs liquidable money assets to do that, right? You cannot invest real estate holdings into a BlackRock fund. It just doesn't work that way, right? By the way, if anyone is asking, this is vodka in here, just so you guys know. I don't give a fuck. It's Friday. I'm going to have a drink. But they take the money. So when the building, if you guys look at what the building is, the building's worth probably over $1 billion. I think McCarran paid McCarran, Passman McGinnis paid somewhere in the 20 to 30 million for it when he bought it. But over the years they renovated, whatever. So another thing they keep it from us, I don't know if people realize it, they're looking at a building right now in Queens. They're going to move us out there. Like I said, this is all being done under the table, guys. No one knows what's going on. This is just, to me, it's like, from what was leaked to me from certain people, this is what it looks like they're looking to do. You guys are going to you're always the last to know, guys, okay? When there's a scam going, there's something going on, if they were true-hearted, you would know this stuff. It would be documented. But they keep it behind the scenes. They wouldn't have talked about this merger had I not brought it up and made such a big deal about it. And the convention wasn't coming up. They had to drop the time on it. So the school owns the portion of the building where the school is. The pension fund will buy the school out. That'll give the school the assets. The school's going to lease a building, not own a building. And the reason they're leasing a building in Queens is because when they finally do make decisions, they don't want to be bounded to anything more than a lease. They can buy themselves out of a lease or make a deal and walk away and then build a new school up north somewhere, whatever they want to do. They want to own the property. So my guess is, from what I understand, they'll probably come in, right, because they have the 4th floor completely cleared out, right, and everything's moved to the 4th floor. So everything for the 9th floor, all the locals will go to 1 floor now. Everyone will end up on the 4th floor, right? And to me, that's a setup, right? You redo the front lobbies, you redo the bathrooms, put it on the 4th floor. So now when they decide to make this idea, whoever decide they sell this building to, right? Like Stephen Ross, hint, 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 wink, 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 right? We'll just say, hypothetically, right? One of McCarran's guys, something like that, he gets the freaking building, right? They'll liquidate those numbers, put it on the 4th floor. And we'll just lease out the 1 floor. The district council will stay there. The building will be sold. They'll get the capital and the money that they have, and they can invest it in BlackRock. We don't know how much money will fall off the table, right? Some money's going to fall somewhere under the table, roll off the table, whatever. But the money will be gone. It'll be in their funds. And do you really think you're going to see the money of the savings they're talking about? That's what they're saying. They say they're going to save you clerical money, and that's how they're going to make you so much. Yeah, they're going to make you all this money, right, down the road, right? They make all this money, right, and we get like a piece of it, right? They get 3 pensions, we get 1 pension, right? Um, I don't know, guys. What do you think of it? Like, here's the best stereotype I can tell you guys. Not everybody, when they rob you, I've been told this to a lot of people over the last couple of days. When people go to rob you, right? Some people pull a knife on you, some people pull a gun on you, right? And they take your money, take your wallet, right? But not everybody does that, right? The true criminals in this world, right? They come in with a suit and tie, and they sit down to you just like this. And what do? They tell you about how they're going to change things and how they're going to make you money, and I'm here to make you money, I'm here to save you. Kind of like Madoff did, right? Madoff came in, told everyone, and greed took over, and next thing you know, everyone got screwed. People lost their pensions, their livelihoods, people committing suicide. Not saying that that's going to happen, but it puts a fear in me. Like, you know, the more people you have involved in something to make decisions, the harder it is to make decisions, right? If there's 5 of us in a room, we're going to make a decision. The chances are it could take a couple of days, but we could come to an agreement and make a decision, right? If you have 6 trustees on both sides, it's 12 people, so you could pretty much come up. But when you get to a bigger entity with more people, even if you agree to disagree, the people on the other end, they're going to make decisions, and everyone has a different outlook in life and what they're looking for. So I think they're going to. My gut tells me they've been gunning for New York City for as long as I can remember. Right. The only thing that kept us solvent, guys, is the consent decree. Mind you guys, 100% they tried to do this before. They tried to take us out before. Dennis Walsh was the IM at the time, and he put a stop to it. He says, "You take these guys, I come with you," and that was it. McCann backed off. He said, "No fucking way." That's going to get me to the other thing about I'm going to post a thing about writing a letter to the judge, and I want everyone to write the letter, and it'll be 500 Pearl Street, and I'll give you guys what I think you should write about your pension fund and what you guys think that this isn't right and why we should really have a say in this with the judge. First of all, my push would be to make sure that the one man, one vote goes with the money, right? The pension fund and whatever, if they're going to take part of us, they get all of us, right? And I think by doing that, we'd probably push them away. Because the last thing the Karen wants, or the Northeast region would want democracy. They don't want democracy. They want a dictatorship. It's what they have now. We even have it ourselves within a way. We don't have, our reps are not, they're loyal to the cause that they had. They're not loyal to us. Back in the day, every business agent was elected. Now everyone's appointed. So with that being said, everyone's going to be loyal to the courts, whatever they're being told to do. Trying to get paperwork signed during the week. Some guys know me, they like me, they sign my paperwork. These stewards are very nervous. Guys saying to me, Mike, I'm a certified steward, they're not going to come after me. I'm like, guys, relax. Listen, like, they're not coming down here to come after you. What are you going to do? So you sign the petition. I mean, tell them to go fuck themselves. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's my attitude. I would laugh at them, but people are nervous and guys are scared. So when you get into the high stake games like this, they play for real. Like, it's. They're playing for keeps, guys. They have, they put their buddies and their friends, and they put people in there that are not qualified to do the job. And the city speaks for itself. The skyline is their resume. I keep saying it because it's true, guys. They don't have people with the passion and heart. They're not going after the work. And a lot of this work could be simplified, and we could get this work back. It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to tell anyone it's going to be easy. You're going to have to focus and and we're going to have to close the gaps to get that done. But we got to put the right people in to do it. Mike Piccarella's there. His uncle was Eddie Piccarella, right? And then Attivio was Paul's uncle, and he was there. I mean, both of them were indicted for embezzling funds, I believe, with our council. Meanwhile, 30 years later, both their nephews are running the council, right? Coincidence? I don't know. Who knows? I mean, it is what it is. You guys be the judge. I don't know who's who, but it just makes you laugh, right? But nothing yet is what they say, was the old saying? As much as things change, they always stay the same. That's kind of this logic behind it, right? So what I'm doing, it is kind of impossible. Someone goes like this, like, keep the fight. Thanks, guys. So, you gotta listen. You gotta you gotta get into this game. It's gonna get dirty. I want you guys to use your common sense by all means. Look at this. Look around. Do your research. We have Google. Everyone has access to a computer. Get on social media, check out what the other states, look at the people in California, look at people in the Midwest. A lot of these people out there don't realize that we still have the mechanism of the consent decree still there, right? So that does give us a little leeway. They've skated around some stuff. They've got non-disclosures out there, which I think was kept out of the judge's radar on purpose, which I'm bringing to light now. We're writing letters. We're going to get things a little more simplified. We're lighting the cause up, guys. We're getting that thing we need in there to be put into to find things. From what I understand, a lot of people look into Frank Spencer. You know, if you just Google Frank Spencer's name, everything flashes up. You know, he worked with the Port Authority, and you just flash his name up there. It says organized crime, organized crime, organized crime. Right? Everywhere you go, Frank Spencer, organized crime. I only met Frank once or twice in my entire life. I mean, I don't know to tell you what he is. I've heard stories about him from certain people in the council. A lot more bad than good. You know, now he's going to be in charge of a prescription plan. Where this guy comes out of nowhere, steps down as second vice president to the International, walks away with $1 million plus a huge pension, and now he's vetted to run the prescription plan for the entire country. It's just amazing, right? It just sounds like someone's getting a payday out of that. If that's not, you know, favoritism, I don't know what is. I mean, but once again, you know, we're going to write that up, and I'll bring that to the courts, and I'm going to shine a light on that, and I will be the one that does it. I mean, I'm not afraid to hide about anything. So, Frank, if you're having a problem, it's me who's doing it. So, I know Paul made deals with you, but that's Paul. You and Paul, you don't have a deal with me. That's why I'm running for office. Let that be known, all right, guys? There's no deals behind the scenes with me and any of these guys. My job when I get there would be to sit down with anyone. If it was Frank's company, then so be it, right? If Frank could come out with a great plan and show me that he had a program that was legit and he could give me the best prescription plan for all our members at whole and do it at the best cost, then by all means I would give it to him. Like that tells me he's not the guy for it. I just have it off the top of my head, but I could be wrong. Maybe he is. Maybe he's got this phenomenal deal. He's got a phenomenal plan. So I might be wrong, Frank. So if that's the case, I shouldn't say that we would get rid of you, but I think there's some shady things you got to answer some questions to me, and probably to a lot of other people, which I think you'll probably get a knock on the door eventually. You have to answer those questions yourself. Now, my guess is you're going to have more to deal with than me, so I don't think you can be worried about me for much longer. But who knows? That's my guess, you know. I think the way they push this stuff together is very interesting. You know, how they make this all about one thing when it's another, when it's really about protecting our members. That's what the union is for. We were put here, guys, and the reason we join unions is to have what we want. We want a pension, annuity, and medical. And here we are. A lot of us are getting ready to retire and are willing to sacrifice what we fought for and worked hard for, which I just think is unacceptable. So someone has to stand up there and fight back, right? You know, you got to go out, you got to get the signatures, you got to put the work in, and I understand. For a lot of people, it's not easy. You know, a lot of people are hypocrites. They talk a lot of shit. You know, they run their mouth. You know, they're cheerleaders for the other side. Facts don't mean nothing to them, right? It's all about rah, rah, rah. They grab their pom-poms and they want to cheer for the other team. Well, whatever. That happens in all parts of politics, guys. There's always some guy cheering for the other guy. Because if that's what gets you where you are in life, you know, you always, and that's what works for you, you know, that's all you know, right? You can't survive on your own. You can't survive on your own merit. So you become that cheerleader, and that's who you are, right? So some people do really good, like kissing ass. That's just the way it is. Me personally, never been a good gas kisser. Just never been good at it. I've always said things the way I was. Probably sometimes it's helped me. A lot of times it's hurt me. It is what it is, but that's just the way I am. I got a sense of pride. That's just who I am. Like, you know, I know I can make it well in life. I'll always have a job. I can always make money. That doesn't bother me. I know I can hustle. I can always make it down. And even at this stage, I'm not worried about it. I can always do well. So that's why I'm here. I'm fighting for you guys. Listen, I'll have city medical no matter what. You know, I have 28 credits with the Carpenters Union on the outside of my tools. I'm in the business 36 years. I got about 8.5 years with the city, so 10 years now. They changed it, but they're going to change it back. I'll have medical for life with the city. So, you know, either way, I'll be fine. You know, I've got a lot of training stuff. I'll do other things, or maybe I'll stay in the union for a little longer. I don't know. But, you know, after this, when they do this merger, guys, it's going to be over. You think there's nobody at the meetings now. You know, when they move the money out of here and things start changing and people lose their retirement medical, I think you're going to see a mass exit like no one's ever seen before. You will see so many people leaving this industry, just packing it up and walking away. Especially the guys that can, like if you're an older person and you don't have young kids and you don't need the medical coverage, you can go out on Social Security disability, with your hip problems, back problems, like that. Those guys will just cash out and walk away. Those are our really skilled workers. You're just going to see mass exit. So I see the problem ahead of us, and it's going to be a shockwave. We're not going to have the skilled trades to sell to the developers of projects that are out there that will come back around. Hopefully, when the economy turns around, I'm hoping for better interest rates. You know, as the economy grows and more demand comes for these projects. You know, usually people spend more money to get projects done at a faster speed, and we're known for our speed, right? That's one thing about union, with quality, speed, and safety. That's what we sell. We sell a product. We're the product. We're the labor. That's our product. and that'll change as time goes on, right? In the 80s and 90s, that's what it was. My father was in the 80s, made a ton of money. The early 80s, mid 90s, I made, I did really well. I was in the very, very end of the 80s, and it bottomed out. I say the first 90 to like 93, 94, it was dead, guys. You couldn't buy yourself a job. I ended up on a job with Superior downtown, and it was like, it was the who's who of who was there. It was a terrible job, dirty as hell, but everyone was happy to be there. And then I did some work outside New York and upstate, and I did work in Vegas. I did work in other places to keep busy. But as the economy turns back around, I think the work will come back. New York New York is like a canvas, guys. It's like a painting canvas, right? It's always changing. It's always changing. We see the structures going up. I think nobody builds them better than us. I mean, to me, I walked to the city. I got to go look at 270 Park Avenue the other day. Beautiful. I mean, amazing. I remember walking by it when the first steel was going up. I mean, who's not shocked away with it? I got to see some work in the Waldorf the other day. It's just like top of the line. Like the craftsmen in this business are amazing. So, but let's see. I think we got some questions coming in. Either someone's telling me I'm talking too much, one or the other. But let's see what the questions are coming out. Yeah. But, all right. So before we wrap this up, there was a couple other questions that so many people asked me. Let me just jump on this for 2 seconds and find these notes that I wrote down because people asked me a couple of questions. And they were asking me about, what the hell were they asking me about? Huh. Oh, all right. So basically, the big question here was about the the benefits and how the benefits are going to change as far as medical, because a lot of people are concerned. That seems to be one of our biggest problems, right? I guess I'm raising the raising retirement age. I don't know how the medical is going to change. Like I said, guys, when we become a bigger entity, it'll be those trustees that'll negotiate that. And when you're buying insurance for 18,000 people, or if you're buying insurance for 132,000 people, and there's different value coming out. I don't know how those formulas are going to work out. I know that I just can't see them staying what we have. Not saying what we have is the best in the world. Maybe in a bigger group number, we can get a better number on that, right? Maybe we can. As far as the pension goes with that formula is going to have to change. I think they just did it in the Midwest. They changed it. You got to go out at 65. You can retire at a younger age. You do not get retirement medical, but your retirement age is 65. Anything less than 65, you're taking a hit. So I believe one of them was like, so basically if you went out at 55 versus 65, I think you're losing 30% of your pension. So that's about a number I would roughly tell you to look at. So if you figure out your pension, oh, by the way, your pension credits today, they won't change. Those numbers are those numbers. Whatever new formula they come up with, that'll be that formula for the new pension credits going forward. And, like I said to people before, you go out to New Jersey, other areas, we're 840 hours to achieve that credit. To me, my opinion, when they merge us, that number's not going down. That number will go up, right? So they did that pretty much every merger. Those numbers went up. I think the rough numbers I'm going to tell you guys, not to make you upset, probably about 1,300. 1,300 to 1,600 is the number they're at, right? So, if they make you do 1,600, and that 1,600 is worth $100, under our formula today, that 1,600 would probably get you $225 for credit. So if you see what I'm saying, the numbers change, and the banked hours change too as well. So that's going to hurt a lot of our guys, especially our driving center workers, guys that are in out of work, or if you have a good year and you get a little slow and you jump in companies, and the next year you're starting off again and you're out of work for the first 2 or 3 months. Those banked hours kept you solvent while you did a little side work while you collect your unemployment. Like, I'm not talking about that, but we don't know what we do. And kept us benefits, so we weren't worried about if something happened to our kids or our wife or ourselves. It was something that kept people intact, right? Kept people that they knew they had that security net over us. And to me, that's why a lot of people join the union, right? Like, I talk to most guys while they're in the union, right? Most guys join the union for that, right? So they're going to give their family, that's why they went to the union. Otherwise, they would have been, framing houses or built their own business or did their own thing. But the reason they went to the union, the family guy does, is medical coverage for their family and a future and a pension. So by taking that away, you're changing the outlook of the union, which means you'll get a lot of people come into this business that won't stick around. They'll just come in, they'll do the 3 to 4 years, and they'll leave. But maybe that's it. Maybe that's their goal. Maybe they just want people coming out, leave before they're 5 years, so the council absorbs that money. I don't know. Maybe that's their plan. I don't know. Me definitely, I would like to bring people in this industry and have them have the same opportunities I had in life. So, but guys, I hope I answered some of your questions. Paul's going to be online. He'll be doing a virtual thing next Thursday, and he'll sell you what you want to do. Remember, guys, no one's saying the building's being sold. Just saying that, he can tell you what he wants to tell you. Remember, he told you last election there would be no merger. Now he's telling you it's a consolidation. It means exactly the same. The question would be, you would have to ask him, which you guys won't get a chance. All the questions he'll have will be pre-scripted. They're not going to ask him. He's not going to answer any questions that make him, Adam, or Dave look bad, and they'll have certain answers for him. So, anyway, guys. All right. So listen, let me wrap this up. So, I'm already on here 40 minutes. Guys, send your questions in. I'm definitely going to get a podcast going. My first podcast will probably be with Mike Biello. That's the guy I'm going to do the first one with. I got a couple of people that are foremen and supers of companies who reached out to me. Some are retired. They want to do a podcast. That's definitely, I'm willing to do it. So we'll get some things going. We're really just getting started. I guess not this week, the following Wednesday, I think we go down to the council for nominations. I'll let everyone post. Anybody who wants to come down, but I'll be getting nominated with my team. We got a little shake it up to do on that. We got a little changes going on, but hopefully that'll all come through. And then we're off to the races, guys. Ballots will be out October 29th, and then, let it all go, right? We'll throw it all out there, see what has to be said, Just remember, when you're being told stuff, guys, and people are calling me a liar, saying I'm not true, try to look past it, ask questions back. If they had a plan, maybe we wouldn't have as much non-union. If they had a plan, maybe we wouldn't have so many people dropping out of the union as it is. Think to yourself why so many people give up their union cards, why so many retirees are pushed to give up their union cards, and you retirees that are retired already that don't have your cards anymore, why you want, given information and booklets to keep your cards, right? Why weren't they doing anything to keep you guys active members, right? So that's something you want to ask yourself, why they did that on purpose. I think it was all put together so that they could build this, so they knew if they wanted to get rid of the medical, that they wouldn't have to have that bite them in the ass as far as an election. So with that said, guys, listen, anyone who watches this video, listen, guys, have a happy Labor Day weekend. Be safe with your families. Enjoy your barbecues. Have some cocktails. Enjoy yourself. Be safe out there. Don't get behind the wheel if you're drinking. And if you guys, by the chance, if you guys ever have anyone's ever looking to adopt a dog, I do a lot with rescues. So if you're looking to get a dog or adopt a dog or foster a dog, please reach out to me. I have a lot of connections with a lot of foster companies, and I try to help people out with their dogs as well. So, all right, guys, ladies, have a good one. Talk to you all soon. Bye.